again, everybody, and welcome to Gamecock Central Radio. Emerson Phillips with Joe Rhett talking Gamecock basketball and March Madness. The South Carolina Gamecocks, a big winner over Baylor last night, Joe, at Madison Square Garden in the Sweet 16, and the Gamecocks are headed to the Elite Eight for the first time in the history of the program. It'll be the Gamecocks and the Florida Gators Sunday at 2:20 at Madison Square Garden. What a game last night, Joe.
Oh, what an awesome game from the beginning to the end. I tell you, this team has really, really grown up. They put their hat on their defense, and defensively they have stepped it up even more so at the end of the year. And not only with that, the offense was clicking last night early on. So, man, no better place to do it on the biggest stage at Madison Square Garden in front of so many Gamecock fans and on national TV. So, this is such a great time. We can't say it enough how special this run is for us. The Elite Eight, man, who would ever think that? And as we keep progressing, I see us keep progressing, getting to the Final Four, to be honest with you.
It's been a magical ride for the Gamecocks. Now 25-10 on the year, and it will be the Florida Gators tomorrow in the Elite Eight. Sunday matchup, 2:20 tip at Madison Square Garden. That game will be on CBS. Joe, this Baylor game, the Sweet 16 game, it was tied at 15. Baylor took a timeout with 8:48 left in the first half, and the score was tied 15-all. And then Duane Notice came out of the timeout and knocked down a three that ignited a 16-0 Carolina run. The Gamecocks would close the first half on a 22-7 run, and South Carolina led Baylor 37-22 at the half last night. Baylor started the game 1 for 9 shooting. They had another streak in the first half where they missed 9 straight shots. Baylor shot a season-low 25% in the first half. They were 8 for 32. And, Joe, defense has been the Gamecocks' calling card all year. That's what's helped them get hot in this NCAA tournament, and they really put it on Baylor. Gamecock defense really put it on Baylor last night.
Yes, I don't care how you try to plan for it for this team here. You can put 6, 7 guys in practice to try to duplicate what this Gamecock defense does. It's no way until you actually go through it. Being that, these guys have really stepped up on Baylor yesterday. They crowded them on the three. They made it difficult for the penetration. Also, the big guy Motley inside, every time he got it somewhat, there was a double team coming. And they took all of their initial sets out of their hands, and they made it so difficult. You saw that Baylor team, they didn't seem like to know what they were doing. So hands up, man. They are really paying attention to the scouting report. Whoever's doing the scouting, they're really scouting those next opponents really, really well. And you got, this game coming up tomorrow, who's a familiar opponent in Florida, which is going to be very, very tough for us.
All right, Thornwell hit a three to push the lead to 20 early in the second half. Baylor used a 10-0 run to pull within 11, but the Gamecocks then got back-to-back threes from Thornwell and Notice to push the lead back out to 17. And the final score, South Carolina 70, Baylor 50 in this Sweet 16 game. So the Gamecocks are through to the Elite Eight. 2:20 tip Sunday at Madison Square Garden on CBS against the Florida Gators. Joe, Florida with a wild ball game, what some people are calling the game of the tournament so far in their Sweet 16 win. As soon as the Gamecocks cleared the floor after beating Baylor, Florida and Wisconsin came out and played what some people are calling the game of the tournament, an overtime win for Florida. They hit a buzzer-beater three to win the ball game. I wouldn't call it a prayer, but I would say it was an unlikely shot that they hit to win that game. Strange game, Joe. Florida had led by 8 with about 1:50 left in regulation. Wisconsin came all the way back, put it into overtime, and then Wisconsin actually had a 5-point lead in OT in the final minute of overtime, and Florida hit the buzzer-beater three. Chris Chiozza hit the three to win the game for the Gators.
Well, Florida beat a really, really good team. This team, that Wisconsin team, has been experienced. They've been in the Sweet 16, I think, the last 4 years. And this team has seniors on their team, and, Florida took it to them. And when you look at both of these teams, South Carolina and Florida, they look totally different than the last time we played. We played in Carolina, the CLA earlier this year. It was a barn burner. It was very close. Both teams played defensively really, really well. And it was low scoring, and we pulled that one out. Then we went down to Florida late in the year, and we lost that game to them. So now this team we will be facing tomorrow will be two, I wouldn't say totally different. They both still play great defense, and I think both teams have stepped up their defense a lot more. And just now, our offense is clicking. So hopefully we can continue this run and playing on both ends of the court, offensively and defensively, and we can hey, getting to that Final Four.
Yeah, two SEC teams very familiar with one another, getting together for a trip to the Final Four Sunday at Madison Square Garden. So let me give you some final numbers from the two Sweet 16 games last night at Madison Square Garden. For Florida, only one Gator scored double figures in this game, and it was Kayvon Allen, setting a Florida school record for points in an NCAA tournament game. He scored 35 points against Wisconsin last night. He was the only Gator in double figures. So this was Kayvon Allen, the guard for Florida, had scored just 11 points combined in the first two games of the tournament. Rolled up 35 last night, a Florida school record, as Florida won in overtime over Wisconsin. So Florida 27-8. Their tournament wins have come against East Tennessee State, Virginia, and Wisconsin. The Gators have beaten some pretty good ball clubs to reach the Elite Eight. For South Carolina last night, a 70-50 winner over Baylor. Another huge game for Sindarius Thornwell. He led all scorers with 24 points on 6 of 14 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3, 8 of 10 from the foul line. Sin played 34 minutes and had 6 boards and 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. And people are talking about him as, one of the MVPs of the tournament so far, and for good reason. Balanced scoring from the Gamecocks last night. P.J. Dozier had 12 in 29 minutes on 5 of 12 shooting. Chris Silva had 12 points and 7 rebounds on 3 of 7 shooting. Silva played 25 minutes, and it was 11 points for Duane Notice, who shot 4 for 6, including 3 of 4 from 3. 34 minutes for Duane Notice, who has now played in more games than anybody else in South Carolina history. He is the Gamecocks' all-time leader in games played at 136. And, Joe, I'm not sure we've done Duane Notice enough justice. Thornwell obviously is the straw that stirs this Gamecock drink, but Notice has been outstanding in the tournament. We knew he was going to have to step up for the Gamecocks to win in this tournament, and he has done that, my man. He is shooting a high percentage. He's knocking down threes. He's making plays for South Carolina.
Yeah, we certainly have been giving Sindarius a lot of credit, which he deserves. He's been carrying his team, and other guys have been jumping on. We've been praising Silva as well. But when you look at Duane Notice, we've been, I'm going to say, kind of hard on him all year, but we knew that he was one of the keys to this team thriving in any tournament, and that's what you see. He's been playing. He's one of the best on-ball defenders that I've ever seen, and he's been great on defense all year. Offensively, he's just been struggling. But right now, you talk about, they're just so balanced right now with the scoring from him, PJ, Duane Notice, and Sindarius, and Silva, and Raheem Felder. They're all playing really well. But yes, Notice, he's quietly, people don't realize this. You probably know because you're a numbers guy, but he's in the top 20 all-time scorer at the University of South Carolina. I think he's like 17th place right now. He's been quietly coming off the bench, getting his 11, averaging 10, 11 points his whole career. And he's in the top 20 of all-time South Carolina scorers. So give that kid a lot of credit. He took a lot of heat early on. He had the incident with Frank early on, I think his freshman year. And just to see this guy hang in there and just still, stay true to his word, want to be part of something special. And in that class there, I tell you, with Sindarius, Justin Mack, and Duane Notice, that's a special class. And we will always have them in our memories as some great Gamecocks for what they did this year.
Great Gamecocks, no question, making history for South Carolina basketball. Notice has persevered. Joe, you're exactly right. It hadn't always been easy, particularly this year for Duane Notice, but when the chips have been down, he has delivered in a huge way for South Carolina. And Duane Notice, the all-time leader in games played for South Carolina basketball now at 136, had another strong shooting night last night in the Sweet 16. So a couple of other items here, Joe. South Carolina out-rebounded Baylor last night. Baylor was the number 2 ranked rebounding team in the country. They had out-rebounded their opponents by an average of 9 boards per game for the entire year, and South Carolina out-rebounded them last night. Season lows for Baylor in points and field goal percentage. Baylor shot just 30%. They were 17 for 56 in the ball game. Sindarius Thornwell now is 2 points shy of passing Devin Downey for 4th place on the Gamecocks all-time scoring list. Thornwell figures to get that hopefully early in this Elite Eight matchup with Florida on Sunday. So just 2 points needed for Thornwell to move into 4th on the Gamecocks all-time scoring list. And Frank Martin will be making his 2nd appearance in the Elite Eight. He got Kansas State there back in 2010, and Frank Martin is 9-4 as a head coach in the NCAA tournament, Joe.
Unbelievable. I was on Twitter last night just saying how unbelievable this run has been, and not just unbelievable that they're winning, just how they're winning. It's not no fluke. They are just playing at a high level. Their confidence is off the change right now when you got confidence like that and you got a leader like Sinders and you got a coach that's it's funny to hear. I hear a lot of the pressers where the kids are saying that they're listening to Frank because he's the only one that's been there, and they're listening to him and they believing in him, and things are definitely working right now. So I don't feel that we have any worries tomorrow. I mean, it's something to worry about, of course. A team that we don't play twice this year, but if these guys are pay attention to detail and come out with the right game plan tomorrow, I think we should prevail again tomorrow and get into not the Sweet 16, but the Final Four, which would be tremendously awesome for this team.
Yeah, Final Four in Phoenix this year, and the winner of South Carolina, Florida will head there for the national semifinals. So 3 meetings. This will be the 3rd meeting of the year between South Carolina and Florida. The Gamecocks beat the Gators at the Colonial Life Arena back on January the 18th, 57-53, the final in that ball game. And, Joe, that ended a string. Florida had hit at least 1 3 in every game since 1993, and they were 0 for 17 from 3 back on January the 18th at the CLA. So that streak ended, and Carolina beat Florida in a really tough physical ball game by 4 points. But then in the return matchup in Gainesville on February 21st, Florida had its way, a Tuesday night ball game, midweek game. Florida beat the Gamecocks 81-66. So, Joe, do the Gamecocks need a game in the 50s here to beat Florida for the second time this year and move to the Final Four?
No, I don't think so. I think it'll be a little higher just because of the way both teams are playing. Of course, the defenses are on a supreme high, but offensively, I think we'll score more points than that. We do need to hold them down to maybe the 50s or whatever, like we did. We're just taking teams out of everything.
Yep.
And we're making them so uncomfortable. And it's funny to see this because, we're playing against some great teams with some great coaches who are good tacticians during the game who usually make great adjustments. But this defense, we're just swarming all over the place. Several times they highlighted how fast these guys were moving on the ball rotation and how they just closing out on 3-point moment and not let them get off on threes. We're playing at a neutral site. Every time we play this team, I really feel that we really have a good chance tomorrow, man. You see some of the other brackets, when you see Kentucky, UCLA, and those other brackets, we actually wind up being in a pretty good bracket right now, which to me is somewhat favorable for us.
Joe, where are you watching the game Sunday? Who are you watching with?
I'm not sure, man. I've been a little under the weather. I was sad to say I was in the bed last night watching the game. Got a little bug right now, but hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow and get somewhere tomorrow and enjoy. Probably with some old teammates somewhere that didn't make the New York trip. But
there you go.
As of right now, I'll be in the bed again.
Okay, well, get you some rest, man. Get to feeling better. All hands on deck for this Elite Eight game tomorrow against Florida. 2:20 tip Sunday at Madison Square Garden. The game will be on CBS, national TV for the Elite Eight. Vern Lundquist, Jim Smonarkel, and Allie LaForce on the call. Joe Rhett and I will come back on Monday to talk about it with you here on Gamecock Central Radio. Joe, what an incredible ride, man. This has been it's hard to describe what a week it's been for Gamecock fans, and the Cinderella story continues, man. The Gamecocks are playing again for a chance to go to the Final Four.
Hey, keep this ball rolling, keep continuing making history, and the sky's the limit for this team. If we can continue to believe and continue to play hard like we've been doing, anything can happen. So that's why they have these tournaments. Some call it Cinderella, some may not, but we have a tremendous chance tomorrow to really, really take this program to another level by going to the Final Four.
Yeah, and a familiar foe, the Gators, the Florida Gators, standing in the Gamecocks' way once again. Interesting that the Gamecocks beat Florida for the baseball national title back in 2011. They're standing in each other's way for a trip to the Final Four here in 2017. So for my partner, Joe Rhett, I'm Emerson Phillips. We'll come back and talk more Gamecock basketball here on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for being with us.